Well, good evening. I am Pastor Robert Johnson back with you. I am here with my panelists, and we're back here for the third night of our discussion on race in America. We've been talking about breaking the chains of racism in America, healing the racial divide and the racial wounds in our country. And it has been an amazing 2 nights. I am so impressed with these panelists. I am so impressed with Dr. Shauna Mashego's expertise and her passion. And I thank God for Rachel Pryor, Reverend Rachel Pryor, who's come on. And I must say this about Rachel. I asked her about coming on at the very last minute. Those of you who know me know that I will do that. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram, so if that helps, I don't know that will cause you to forgive me for it, but that's why that's part of my explanation. And so she came on and has been with us both nights and back with us tonight. We're so grateful for her. She's a graduate of Princeton Seminary, but she and I also work together with Kansas Interfaith Action, which is a political advocacy group in the state of Kansas that advocates for healthcare, climate justice, economic justice, and racial justice. And so we're so glad to have her back on tonight. And then Pastor Yolanda Oliver, who is my associate, our associate, not my associate. She is St. Mark's associate pastor and a seminary student with United Theological Seminary, and is also works in corporate America. And we're delighted to have her on as well. So tonight, the past 2 nights we've done presentation style, and we wanted to do one more night just to give our audience a chance to interact with us and engage with us, ask questions, share your ideas. So if you will take a moment and tag some folks, start some watch parties, and we'll get started in just a second. We'll get started. And so what we'll ask you to do is just post your questions, comments, ideas, concerns on Facebook, and Pastor Yolanda is monitoring those, and we will get them up and we will get them to our panelists and give them a chance to interact with you. Thank you again for tuning in. I know I said this on Thursday as we were preparing for this, that to ask you for 90 minutes on Friday, and then we asked for 2 hours last night on a weekend was a big ask. But at the same time, I believe that given the severity of racism in our country, given that this is such a long-standing problem, and given that we have an open door right now to really address it, because for some reason, and I was reading somewhere that revolutions you can't predict them. They typically aren't predictable. They just kind of happen. You can't really explain exactly what was the tipping point. But I think we're in the midst of a global revolution regarding, and the issue of race is on the table. And you're hearing it from everybody. I read a post from Dr. Lynn Sweet today, and Dr. Lynn Sweet was saying that this is a time of change and rethinking everything. And then he went on to make the comment, but if we only rethink things but don't connect with our hearts, then we won't get very far in the revolution. But anyway, what I was acknowledging is the fact that he was acknowledging, everybody's acknowledging that there's something going on. So there's an open door here for us to deal with the issue of race. So I think that to ask you for, so that's 2 hours last night, 3.5, and now 4.5 hours of your time to invest in this really important issue is not too big of an ask. And I hope you feel the same way. I hope you feel that the past 2 nights have been helpful and have been a good investment of your time. So I want to pause here as we're waiting for more folks to come on. Tag folks, start watch parties, invite folks to come on, and we're going to get started with our open Q&A in just a second. I've gotten some amazing feedback, so I want to take a moment and have our panelists to have some initial remarks as we're waiting for folks to come on, have some initial remarks, and also share with us some of the feedback that you've gotten on your end regarding the last 2 nights. And will Rachel or Yolanda, either one of you can start first, and then we'll go to Dr. Mashego last.
All right, I bring up in some of the conversations that I was able to have this afternoon, hot topic is the three large educational publishers that provide the majority of the material for our students in K through 12 and secondary higher education, and engaging them in some manner to ensure that they apply some form of Dr. Shanna's principles. That we need to get this information and expound upon the little bit that we have in our history books, our science books, about the African American heritage and just about racism overall. And I really felt like, not only do we need to get to the clergy, we need to get to McGraw-Hill, Houghton, Mifflin Harcourt, and Pearson to ensure that they begin to tell our story and not just their story.
Thank you, Yolanda.
I think Pastor Rachel maybe froze.
Ooh, too bad.
As we're having a hard time, Pastor Johnson, I can't hear you. And I think Pastor Rachel, there you go.
All right, I am getting a message saying it looks like this broadcast was deleted on Facebook. So somehow our post on Facebook was deleted. So we need to log off and come back. So you all just log off. Let me recreate the broadcast and bring you all back on in about 5 minutes. Okay.